What up, my freaks? Ruinous Insight here with part 26 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Grimgor Ironhide campaign. So as we saw last time, though a little bit late in the campaign, we managed to get ourselves a cinematic battle, a cinematic siege battle, rather, and I'm excited to see whether we can get a few more before the campaign fully runs down. On top of that, we were able to acquire all of WAAAGH's territories, and I took care of the lion's share of the admin between the episodes. And what the heck are you doing here? Should probably try to trade that territory. Though I guess I don't know what they would want for it. Just out of curiosity, though. While we're here, just so that we have the full province, 26.6, they have a territory to the edge of our territory, so, what if they take Prague? We don't really care about Prague. Or what about, this territory by itself? I do wonder. You know what, that's probably something that we want to check right now, because I'll immediately forget about it. Not Yetchich, but Goranich for what this place is called, Kasserk. Oh, they're willing to do that. Alright, I may do that. I just am wondering whether if we attack these guys here and we take all of these territories, whether we will still actually want to do that, though at the same time we don't necessarily want more territory. Anyway, I got distracted by that. What I was starting to say is, between the episodes I decided to continue the Confederation, so we confederated the... I forgot what these guys were called. There was another little minor orc faction with 2 territories here and some armies, and another minor orc faction down here, with something of an army around here. So this might help out. We don't really care about their territories, and I might even delete some. But at the same time, part of the campaign goal is apparently to either destroy or confederate all of the factions. And Black Venom, I believe, was one of the ones we just confederated. Red Eye and Red Fangs still have to be found and confederated. And another benefit to this is that Skarsnik Finder is taking a long time to get to Skarsnik. And with these guys here, we should be able to get to Skarsnik much, much quicker and just move this way. Kind of makes Skarsnik Finder unnecessary, but we'll keep him moving just in case he somebody else gets bogged down. Anyway, to start off this particular episode, we were going to have Grom the Paunch attack Waterfall Palace here, Durthu's capital. We may as well destroy it. Now, Grimgor is helping. We can't auto-resolve because the giant will die, but frankly, I'm interested to see how well Grom's army handles these types of things. I mean, there's Treekin, Forest Dragon here, some Way Watchers, lots and lots of elites. Blade Singers are also an extremely scary unit. We saw them fight on par with Grimgor's Black Orcs, so we'll see if they can continue to do so with the pump wagons annoying them to no end. Away we go. Alrighty, here we go. Now obviously we know that Grimgor's own army can handle this just fine. In fact, it can handle 2 or even 3 of these Wood Elf stacks. But how about Grom's army? Though Grimgor is going to come in as a reinforcement, we are not going to use his army at all. And we're going to see if we can take this just with Grom's army. Of course, if they all get annihilated and if they all rout, then I will send a Grimgor in to clean up, but we'll hopefully be able to overcome these guys with Grom. Granted, this isn't the ideal matchup for him. They've got great Stag Knights, those Treekin, the Dragon, a bunch of stuff that's going to be difficult for them to bring down. They've got a couple units of Hawk Riders, which are very good at assassinating single targets, and by the looks of it, they will probably be targeting our Arachnarok Spiders, so there's some good rock, paper, scissors and going on there, potentially. I think they have like 4 units of War Dancers with Ezra Spears as well, so that's going to be very concerning. And the Sisters of the Thorn, plenty of Wildwood Rangers, a very solid elite stack. And for all the fact that Grom buffs his pump wagons and stuff quite a bit, at the end of the day, there's still basic units and they're still quite fragile, so we're gonna need to be careful. Anyway, Grom has moved in and has immediately gotten himself surrounded by a unit of Great Stag Knights. Don't really see these units built a lot by the AI, probably because they're very high tier, but it's nice to see them on the field for a little bit, and though Grom will hopefully be able to resist them at least while he has his buffs up and running. The dragon is attacking him as well, but the dragon has a much bigger problem, in fact several bigger problems in the Arachnaroks, which make the dragon look small by comparison, and plus all the enemies here got hit by the Curse of the Bad Moon, and will thus have that nasty curse on them, significantly weakening them. In fact, the combination of the Sundered Armor and the nasty Curse of the Bad Moon is a minus 50 to armor, which basically de-armors enemy units, and it's a very solid combination to use with orcs in general. Over on the right side here, we have our weaker units of pump wagons, and then followed by the stronger spiky rollers in the back. They're just going to try to roll around and dish out damage without getting bogged down, as they can't really stand still, as the Wildwood Rangers and the Azurai War Dancers, or the War Dancers with Azurai Spears rather, will rip them apart if they stand still for too long. Especially the wolf chariots. Fortunately, unlike various other chariots, the pump wagons have plenty of mass, and they seem to be able to just get through infantry blobs just fine, so we can get the heck out of here before they get bogged down and destroyed. And though they are taking plenty of shots by the looks of it from Way Watchers and from Swift Shiver Shard's Deepwood Scouts. And of course, we're giving as good as we get, I think, over on this side of the map as the pump wagons continue annoying the enemy infantry. Looks like one of the Wildwood Rangers is badly damaged, but there's still a lot of enemy units, and even the Blade Singers are here. Okay, so I was wondering what hurt the Pumpin' Boys so much. Gotta get away from those Blade Singers, as they will absolutely rip the pump wagons apart. So it is nice to see these pump wagons fight in the Wood Elf territories, just making their way around relatively unstopped. They keep knocking the Wood Elves down, but not really killing too many of them, so we will need to continue to be careful. Out here, Grom has moved a little bit forward and is now trapped by another unit of War Dancers with Azurai Spears. Lots of these low model elites that we're facing off against in this particular army. An Itchy Nuisance comes down, and the Arachnaroks continue to move forward to hopefully help Grom out. Treekin are blocking the other Arachnarok together with a pile of the Forest Gobos, but, well, the Forest Gobos I'm sure can contribute to this fight. They're pretty darn buff. I mean, this is a tier 1 unit. It has 70 armor and 67 melee attack with lethal poison. And while the Bronze Shield isn't a big deal, but, you know, 45% ain't too bad either. And this is with 200 units. Grom's Gobos are pretty darn nasty when buffed up, so can't discount them tier 1 unit or not. And unlike the pump wagons, they're not overpowered as heck, but, well, with Grom, any of the Gobos are quite strong. Anyway, how are we doing out here? We've sent in both of our Arachnaroks, the Australian House Pet and the unnamed Arachnarok, and both of the actually have a name for you. I'll do it later. And both the Goblin Big Bosses helping those guys out. Grom continues making his way up into the enemy's settlement, though he's now down to half HP and is starting to take quite a bit of damage. How's his own damage so far? About 11k? Not too bad, I would say, but we really do need to be careful. There's a lot of enemies that can and will surround and destroy him if we're not careful. It's quite interesting to see him struggle a little bit against these units, considering most of the time so far in his battles, he's been relatively unharmable, as in he just has too much regeneration, generally speaking, to be bothered with these units. But here, we've even reached the healing cap, and we gotta get the heck out of there before he gets too heavily damaged. Now, as we can see over on this side, our second set of units, our pump wagons and our wolf chariots, have managed to capture the key building here. Grimgor's reinforcements have arrived long ago, but obviously we're not using them. And our fast movers are quite hurt, but they are going to have to head back into battle. Flap is going to move into where the tree area is because they're immune to it, but it looks like they didn't have enough mass to quite charge through the Azrae War Dancers, which is or the War Dancers with spears and the Wildwood Rangers, rather, which is a little bit concerning, and we can see a couple of the pump wagons go down. The Wolf Chariots and a couple of other units of pump wagons are moving around down here as well, annoying both Wildwood Rangers and some Way Watchers and some, I believe, Swift Shiver Shards as well. Mounts of Power has crept to about 90% in our favor. One of our Arachnaroks is heavily damaged. In fact, I think all the Arachnaroks are pretty heavily damaged, as we can see, and the enemy has been targeting them quite a bit. Though over here, finally, the Hawk Riders have run out of ammunition and are moving in to fight the Arachnarok directly. That ain't gonna work out so well for them, I imagine, especially with the pump wagons, one of the damage units of pump wagons, moving in to help out and apply a little bit of armor sundering. Yeah, these Hawk Riders might have managed to kill the Arachnarok if only they had had a little bit more ammunition. A second Curse of the Bad Moon coming down, a few of those additional Azrae spears, while the Arachnaroks continue to fight them. And it's a very close battle, or at the very least it's a close battle between Grom's army and these Wood Elves. Alright, but it won't be close for much longer as the bounce power has shifted to about 90% in our favor. Lots and lots of our units are down, very close to being destroyed, though it looks like the pump wagons and chariots will recover quite a bit because they haven't lost a lot of their entities. Just got to force the rest of these damn elves to rout without spending too long in combat and getting bogged down and destroyed by them. And how are we doing? There we go. It looks like finally we are going to get the enemy to rout, and the battle will be ours. Quite a close battle. I don't think the auto result, it's not going to call it a close victory, even though it was. In fact, I'd say it was probably somewhere between close and Pyrrhic. Granted, most of our units will recover, and Grom and the Arachnaroks are probably the only ones that are going to be really hurt because they're single entities, whereas the entity healing will keep the others in pretty good shape. Also, the Gobos seem to have been largely ignored, but let's double check that and see how the numbers are. Great fight. Alrighty, very nice. I am happy with the battle and not having had to use Grimgor's army at all. It was a lot tougher for Grom than it would have been for Grimgor to take the place, and it's nice to work for your victories in this manner. Certainly the Arachnaroks got more hurt than they ever did. I'm actually quite impressed with how the Forest Goblins managed to not get ripped apart, but I guess we had so many single and low model units that all the enemy archers had a tendency to target them and more or less ignore our Forest Goblins, which is pretty interesting. One of the Arachnaroks managed to get 29k damage on it, and certainly that was a lot more than the Gobos did, but they did pretty well. In fact, this was one of the rare times when the Gobos actually managed to outdo the various spike rollers and other fast movers. Very interesting fight. Alright, we are going to... 55k. I mean, we could, but at the same time, money is no longer of consequence to us. I think we can just occupy it, which will give it to us a tier 5, and then just, not really worry about the place. Or we could sack it and take it a tier 4 instead. Honestly, considering how slow these places grow, maybe we should just Yeah, just occupied a tier 5. Screw the money. It doesn't matter. Snotling Scavengers, Swindler, Talisman of Endurance, a Dragon Helm, a Backstabber, and lots of stuff, generally speaking. Which is quite nice. Waterfall Palace, we're going to switch you immediately to Give It Ear, and... I forget, are we collecting the income from these or no? I think no, so that they can grow faster. Yeah, alright. Don't bother collecting the income, it's also not enough for us to care about, and we'll build a bunch of stuff next turn once Give It Ear is up and that construction cost reduction is up as well. Now, in terms of what else we gotta do this particular turn, I don't believe there's anything. This was the one that we waited for at the end of last episode, as when we had no time for. There's a bunch of ambushes in place, which we may be able to get something out of. Gorkill in the Bear's Teeth. I mean, I guess if we want this army maxed out, we could have you recruit some stuff for Mr. Krakatrihaga. And his army's just like a weird smattering of stuff. The Stone Trolls and the Savage Giants and the Black Orcs work, though. What can you build here? Pretty much anything. It'll take a while, but at the same time, I don't really care about the money. You know what? Build one Shielded Black Orc, maybe a couple of big uns. We can combine, well, we probably don't really need the Nasty Stalkers or the Fanatics in here, but we can continue using some of the Night Goblin Archers, maybe a few units of Cav as well. You can build Night Goblin Archers right there, and can you build any artillery here? Alas, you cannot. And what kind of Cav can you build? In fact, you can build none. At least you can build none of the Orc Cav. You have a single unit of Boar Boys, Wolf Riders, and Goblin Wolf Chariots. I'm kind of disinclined to use those. Maybe we just build a couple of Forest Goblin Spiders? Even if they're not super needed either. You know what, for now just build another Night Goblin Fanatic Archers and then we'll see. Honestly, we probably won't need this army, but, you know, they're nearby and... oh. Whose territory is this? This is the Ice Court. So for a second I thought that our army was raiding Village's territory, who's sort of an ally, or rather so weak that he's not worth fighting. But anyway, Garrison Lord end turn unless I'm mistaken, and let's see if anybody decides to attack us. We have all of those undead to the south of us at the border of the mountains, and let's see, Arcan the Black, you want military access. Don't know. You're going to hate us very soon because we're probably going to kill off Vlad. Mostly because Vlad's the only strong one. And Karl actually wants to fight, and ooh, he's got the Sunmaker as well. That's a scary, scary artillery piece, and we are still hurt in Gorkill's army. I don't think he can take Karl in a one-on-one on Deathclaw either, especially. Oh, he doesn't have Galmaraz, he has a Beast Slayer. And he does have a potion of healing, though. So do we. That's real interesting. And that's real interesting indeed. Ooh, and they have the Bordermen as well. Yeah, they got some good stuff in this army. Plenty of hunters for the, or huntsmen rather, for the anti-large, including the Regiment of Renown, the White Wolves. Yeah, Zintler's Reichsguard, White Wolves, and the Sunmaker are all going to be very, very irritating. Let's see if we can handle them, or whether it will, in fact, be a valiant defeat. Go. Alrighty, here we go. It's Karl Franz versus Gorkill. We'll see who comes out ahead here. And kind of interesting stat comparison. Karl is a lot more armored, but he also hits twice as hard as Gorkill does. And ooh, Guardian from one of the heroes below on him. Hold the line. He's got some very solid stats. And with Bone Crusher on Gorkill, yeah, I think Karl will by and large defeat us in terms of stats. He has better everything except melee attack by the looks of it, and the melee attack is only a slight difference. And the fact that he hits twice as hard is going to be a major issue. If perhaps we both didn't have healing potions, as in if only the enemy did it would be easier, or rather if the enemy didn't and we did it would be easier, but like this, I would say I gotta give the advantage to Karl. That said, we do have access to spirit leeches and we do have access to other units, so the rest of our army will hopefully do the work. One of our Black Orc big bosses getting a nice little duel with an enemy warrior priest down here as trolls move in and try to get around the enemy to prevent most of their anti-large range units from firing. The unbreakable Sigmar Suns blocking off as many of our units as they possibly can, and doing a pretty good job at it, especially considering that most of our units, by virtue of being large models, do have a tendency to get in each other's way. So that was a pretty good sacrifice by the Sigmar Sun, and considering they will fight to, quite literally, the last man, and they'll be there distracting units for a while. And got a Soul Blight coming down on a few of the enemies, and I believe a Fate of Biuna on the Imperial Foot Reichsguard, which are the best of the enemy infantry units here. We did move in both of our units of Colossal Squigs, our fastest unit by far, with that 130 speed. One distracted the Borderman handgunners so that we didn't get them lobbing their grenades at us, because those things are nasty as heck and are just genuinely frightening. And then the other Colossal Squig ran at the Sunmaker, the Hellstorm rocket battery, which is even more frightening. And we don't need either of those getting any shots off. Unfortunately, the aerial duel well, it did sort of land, but ended in something of a loss for Gorkil. He's moved away with about half HP remaining, rather than continue fighting Karl, as Karl would have brought him down. This forced Karl onto the ground as well, where we can hopefully distract him with sufficient trolls and orcs, rather than have him kill off our lord. Ooh, looks like a nice rear charge from the enemy Knights of the Blazing Sun into our blob, but the Death Star is pretty okay right now, and by the looks of it, the leadership of the trolls is most definitely holding. In fact, I started building all those leadership buffing units, support monsters for them, and it's starting to look like they won't be as needed as I had originally thought. Well, they wouldn't be a miss, nonetheless. At the end of the day, this army isn't really threatening most of our troops. Karl is certainly extremely threatening, and a few of his units are, but we were able to prevent most of the enemy range from giving too much value to the enemy army. And that's where they were strongest, so we should be pretty okay. Trolls running down the crossbows and handguns, and huntsmen wherever they can. Gorkil's down to a little bit under half HP, though I believe he has managed to assassinate one of the enemy warrior priests. Karl is still flying around and is about 65% HP, and we'll still have to bring him down. And it looks like a second charge from those Knights of the Blazing Sun. And don't they just look fantastic? They won't for long, so we might as well enjoy them while we can. Away they run, and damn, that cycle charging is getting annoying as we have to react to them every time. Karl has come back down as well, but he is near Gorkil once again. Although he has brought backup in the form of his warrior priest, we have much more backup. Our giant river troll hag has also been dropping spirit leeches constantly throughout the battle, and has gotten about 5,000 damage so far. All of the spirit leeches have been on Karl, and they will continue until he goes down, and we don't have much of a choice in the matter, because unless I'm mistaken, he's unbreakable as well. Yes, indeed he is. Alrighty. Well, let's hope that this is far too many trolls and other units for him to bring down by himself. His warrior priest is about to go, and his empire captain is down to about half HP. A third charge into the rear flank, or into the rear from the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and they're going to run away again. Damn, the AI is really making good use of that 108 charge bonus with those repeated cycle charges. And probably a good use of the Knights of the Blazing Sun in general, because trolls, by virtue of that troll regeneration, have a fire weakness, and obviously these knights do fire damage. And though they are having a little bit of a difficult time getting through the sheer mass of all those biggins and trolls. Karl down to about 30% HP, and the Looks like the Spirit Leech fades, but the rest of his army will unfortunately collapse. Gorkill and a few of the other units were just hunting down enemies. We're going to send the Colossal Squigs to try to do their best to run down some of those knights because, well, they're extremely fast and they can do chasing fairly well. And now it's a matter of just trying to bring Karl down. Very impressive showing by Karl, though. Hardly surprising, but very impressive nonetheless. Alright, he's got about, 20% HP remaining. We're going to charge all the trolls at him, and that's got to be far too many trolls for him to bring down. Even if he does make them look small, or at least Deathwing makes them look small. Alright, how are we doing here? Nearly there. Oh, wow, he's actually reached his healing cap as well. Wait, he's reached his healing cap. Wait, did he have a source of regen as well? Huh, no, his HP doesn't appear to be climbing upwards. Odd. I wouldn't think that he would reach his healing cap from the use of a single healing potion, which means something else healed him as well. It might have been an army ability, or something along those lines. Well, either way, it won't be enough, as his HP will slowly run down. Gorkill will rejoin the fight, and get a couple hits in there, and Karl will fall. Oh, that was perfectly on cue. Fantastic. Well done, Gorkill. This was the ideal time to rejoin the fray. And there we go. Just like that, Karl Franz's army is done, and I think we won't be seeing him again, as his faction has, I think, 4 territories as we checked remaining. Well done, Gorkill. And I am impressed with the AI for actually attacking us rather than, just not. Well done. Ooh, alright, Gorkill, that was quite dangerous. While Gorkill had no problem whatsoever dueling Boris Todbringer and bringing him down, Karl was a completely different beast, and even though we were able to defeat his army, it definitely took some effort. Looks like the Colossal Squigs both got a little bit hurt, but one of them got nearly 10k damage, which is pretty darn good. And nearly 18k on one of the Orc Biggins. Man, I'm almost thinking that maybe we shouldn't take them out of here, but no, I like the whole Troll Death Star idea. Besides, we got 22k on the Swamp Things over here, and one of the Troll units, or 2 of the Troll units, went over 13k as well. Well done to you, Trolls. We are going to heal up here, because of reasons. Well, control bonus from Slaughter Captives ain't the worst thing in the world either. I forget, are we in our own territory or are we in enemy? I think we're just slightly in our own territory, which would mean we'd heal up anyway, right? I think so. Alright, fine. Slaughter Captives for the control bonuses instead. Alright, now, how are we doing? Barrow Legion wants a peace treaty. Go figure. Well, they ain't gonna get it. They have 1 settlement, no, 2 settlements remaining, right? They have Bloodkeep and another, unless I'm mistaken, and Sarthoriel the Everwatcher. That's a lot of cockatrices. And a single mutal with Vortex Beast, but not a bad army. Circ. Was this the place that I was going to trade and now we can't? Well, my bad. My bad. We'll retake it and trade it, I guess. Should have done it. What do you want? You want us to join war against the Golden Order? We will, but not right now. And yeah, we were certainly expecting to lose at least a few minor territories before the, well, after we confederated, so that's just fine. Ambush Foil, the Troll Herder recruitment, more Swindlers, a few... Okay, we're just gonna get a billion items, and Gorkill still gets the defeat trait. Lovely. Confederation between some Dwarfen factions, Kazrak's hanging around, Grotslick, you're a different Grotslick, aren't you? Who are you? Which Grotslick are we speaking of? Oh, you just leveled up from existing nearby, which ain't too bad, I guess. And we can continue recruiting some stuff here, which works. We'll need to make you into a full army and then go out there. So you can stay here, and I will deal with your recruitment between the episodes, most likely. And what I would like to see now is what's going on here. Yeah, so I should have traded this, but oh well. These guys have nearly full province now. We'll probably have to send some factions, some some units to do some stuff. Some armies to do some stuff over on this side, because otherwise we're just going to get attacked in various places as we're bordering factions and that we are at war with. And hey, Archaon is here. Ooh. I wanted the final battle to be him versus Grimgor. Grimgor's a little far right now, though. It'll take him ages to travel up there, so can't quite do that yet, but nonetheless. Now, what do we have here? I see 3 armies of the dead and Aranis assault spite between our 2 Gabo armies. Well, that's interesting as well. We don't have time to fight this right now or this particular episode, but that's certainly something we should look into doing. And next time around should be a pretty epic fight with tons and tons of units, and since this is our Gabo army, a fairly tough one as well. We'll save that for next time, and we will continue the destruction of Athaloran next time as well, so stay tuned for more Grimgor. And don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, as they will determine how often this particular campaign is posted in its twilight years. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.